no suffix when we're making the Sikkim. Today, right now, Sikkim on the Ibiya.
We learned today, first and foremost, we learned the beautiful Torah that we have Mar b'Torah, Mar b'Simcha. That's certainly true. But the Ikka is when you have two Adorim, so it seems that the Paiskim are in agreement that the Ikka is Adar Sheni. And all halachas, when you have to have an halacha, the Ikka is Adar Sheni. Loshem b'nei Adam, when a person says Adar, even if it's Nadarim or in agreements, even a Chayshim Mishpat it could be, then Stam Adar is Adar Rishon, unless he specifies Adar Sheni. So to apply this Lamaisa, when you have a halacha that's totally in months, of course, that doesn't change. But if it's totally in a date on a year, so the Ik is Adar Sheni, Loshem b'nei Adam, of course, would be Adar Rishon. By mitzvah, don't count months, don't count days, you look at the day. It's possible that two boys are bar mitzvah on the same birthday a few years apart, and one is a month older, because one had 4 Iburim, 4 extra Adarim, and one had 5. That's immaterial. The Ikka is the Shanim, that's the size of a mitzvah. If someone is born Adar on a Pshuta, Zayin Adar on a Pshuta, and like this year, there are 2 Adarim this year, the mitzvah is held in Adar Sheni l'chol hadayis. Many will put on tefillin in the first Adar, even if they generally wait for the exact day, but because they're worrying about the sheet that holds that he's by mitzvah Adar Rishon. So tefillin, some will put on Adar Rishon, even if their minig is to always wait for the bar mitzvah day because of the sheet of Marash HaLevi. But this is clear, there's no bar mitzvahs in a year like this year when Adar 13 years ago was an Adar Pshuta, and this year we have 2 Adarim. It's always held in Adar Sheni, not in Adar Rishon. We saw a fascinating riddle that the Rishonim, Kadmonim, and the Gemara actually says a person is born before his friend, but he's by mitzvah almost a month after his friend, because he was born at the end of Adar Rishon. His friend was born in Adar Sheni, and his friend is by mitzvah actually 4 weeks, almost a month before his older friend. The aside of this is based on the Yishalmi, Lokel Goymer Alai, as the Chassam Sofer puts it, Teva Mishubedas L'Torah. The Torah dictates the Teva, and a boy becomes more mature than his older friend, because that's what the Torah wants. If it's something is totally in birth, that doesn't change with Adar Rishon Adar Sheni. Pet Rechem is a Metzias, who was born first. That would imply that Yerusha, B'choira, Yibum, or Kibbut Achav Agadol wouldn't change. Because those halachas are totally who was born first, who's the pet rechem of the mother, and that doesn't change per year. But it comes to bar mitzvah, it's totally in a specific date. So if there's now Adar Sheni, it's shaykh that the Rav, Yavo, Yitzor, at least his bar mitzvah will be before his older friend. When you have a year that was 2 Adorim, and 13 years later is Vaita 2 Adorim, bar mitzvah year, which happens 3 out of 7 times on the cycle. So then he was born on Adar Aleph, according to most Paiskim, bar mitzvah is Adar Aleph. The Magen Avram has his interesting svara that everything is Adar Beis, but the Paiskim are not Choshev for that Magen Avram. In fact, I forgot to mention, Shas Yaakov says, whoever passes like the Magen Avram with that is a Shikagas Hayra. You can't push over a mitzvah because of this svara. When you have a missing Lamed Adar, so as we said, this is something that I am not capable of paskening, but we saw different minhagim. Some say Lamed Adar on a year like this year, if you have a Lamed Adar, and then 1 year there is no Lamed Adar, you'll keep Rosh Chodesh Adar. And some say the extreme, you'll keep Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Someone had an interesting idea. He made the Kiddush in beginning of Adar. He made his bar mitzvah Suda in Nisan, and he put on tefillin a month before Adar, like his minig a month before. So his child had a Purim bar mitzvah Meshulish. That's an interesting option. But anyhow, it's more noita that really bar mitzvah is Rosh Chodesh Adar, but some wait till Nisan, and certainly l'chumra one should treat bar mitzvah starting from Rosh Chodesh, not wait till Rosh Chodesh Nisan. When a child born in Lamed Shvat, so again we don't wait till the Adar Sheni, we look at it like a Lamed Shvat baby, and the mitzvah is on Lamed Shvat when that year comes around. A Rosh Chodesh Tevis child, so now we look at it and there's 2 days Rosh Chodesh, so we stay with the calendar days you count, and make sure even though he was born on Rosh Chodesh Teves, and now it's Aleph Rosh Chodesh, it makes no chiluk. Don't count birthdays with Neiris Chanukah, because a child could be born Zois Chanukah Gimel Teves, and some years it is Beis Teves or vice versa. So be careful, count bar mitzvahs and beginning of Teves by the date, not by the Chanukah Lichtelach. Yartzeit is fundamentally different than bar mitzvah. First of all, Yartzeit is Zriza Magdimin. We need schusim, both the departed parent and the living child needs schusim. And the day that we do it, the earlier the better. And it's not a question of a bar mitzvah, you have to be bar mitzvah, you have to mature. And that's why, although the Magen Avraham says bar mitzvah on 2 Adar, we treat as Adar Sheni as the real day. But in Yartzeit, the Ramah says the ik is Adar Rishon, because the earlier the better. As the Levush explains, schusim is better early, and then you have it for later as well. So the ik is the first. The Machabos, the ik is the second, but that's the Shita Chasam Soifa. But most Paiskim, I would say almost all Paiskim, say the ik is the first. But the Ramah does recommend keep both, and we understand why. First of all, the Machaba Shita, and the more schusim the better. But you can't fight for the Yomid ever, but especially when it's only a hiddur of Adar Sheni, and the yard says Adar Rishon, then you have to defer to someone that has a real yard site. Now, if Lamaisa, we said an upsharing, of course, will be like bar mitzvahs. Some had an interesting child. A child was born the end of Shvat, and like this year there was an Adar Rishon Adar Sheni. When is the pigeon Aben? So he thought maybe that Adar Sheni is the Ikka. Of course, that's totally in days. That's like Yud Aleph Chodesh. And last but not least, Mishanichas Adar Marba Simcha, according to most sheet, based on a Rashi, it's only Adar Sheni, but Toivle Mishta Samid, and Marba Torah, Marba Simcha.